I don't know about you, but I'm obsessed. So let's make some more noise for Chloe Savage. She is going to be coming right back in a moment. We are going to have a speaker, Kate Montero, who is a Rhode Island Pride queer historian, has been on boards all over the place, longtime advocate, organizer, all-around incredible person, Kate Montero.
Thank you. I love how people say you're old, but say it nicely. They always put me up on stage right after the really beautiful drag queen who dances amazingly and stands right next to the edge that I can't get any closer to. So, thank you, Chloe. Thank you for being here at this second Woonsocket Pride. I thank you. I'm not an organizer. I had nothing to do with it. The folks who organized this. I'm saying thank you as a queer person from the Blackstone Valley. It means everything that there is a pride in Woonsocket. But I'll tell you this much. Woonsocket has always been queer. This may be the second Pride, and we may be here in World War II Veterans Park, honoring the efforts, the fight, the lives of veterans who fought against white supremacy, who fought against fascism. This Pride is in honor of their fight. It is not in spite of their fight. A lot of people try and tell you that Pride in this country started in 1970 with a march that honored the riots in Stonewall. I bet all of you by now today know that Pride did not start at Stonewall, that LGBT activism did not start at Stonewall. But I wonder if you know that a full 20 years before Stonewall, we're talking 1950, there were not one, not two, but three, and possibly four, let's just call them open secret, LGBT bars in Woonsocket. And people like to say, oh, yeah, well, you know, queer people had bars in the 1950s, and they were all depressing, and they were all small, and they were all dark, and they were run by the mafia, and the drinks were watered down, and it was so horrible. Guess what? Every single one of those bars was managed by a queer person. And a queer person who did not give a rat's patootie if anybody knew they were queer. One of them opened in 1948 by a gender non-conforming woman who at the time probably would have referred to herself as a butch dyke. Today, I'm not sure what she would have identified as, but let's today call her Rita a butch dyke. Rita opened a gathering place in the back room of a boxing gym that had a social room in the back, and everybody knew about it. Bob Thibodeau bought, because he managed a place called the Mirror Bar in Woonsocket, which was already a queer gathering place. He bought it, took over the license, and then eventually moved to Providence and became like the impresario of queer life in Providence. But the Mirror Bar started in Woonsocket. But today I want to tell you about one place in particular. And that place was called The Holiday. technically in the paperwork it's called the Holiday Inn, but it wasn't a hotel. The hotel was above the Mirror Bar, by the way, just so you know. And that was a known queer gathering place too. But the Holiday Inn was on Mill Street, was located across the street from a mill that was making Christmas ornaments.
All right,
Had previously been a textile mill. But in on the night of, these are always great, right? The night of November 29th, 1963, was a Friday night in Woonsocket. On that Friday night, just so you know, the magazine that came out that day was Life magazine, and it had a picture of President John F. Kennedy on it because he had been assassinated 7 days previously. Okay? On that night, the police had undercover folks in the neighborhood around the holiday, and they observed, and I quote, men embracing and kissing men, girls embracing and kissing girls, inside and outside the bar. And outside the bar, one of the great lines is that they also observed women in the street arguing about matters which children should not hear about. I don't know about you, but if I ever get a time machine, I am going back to Woonsocket on November 29th, 1963, and I want to know what they were arguing about. Because I bet she was really good looking, whoever they were arguing about. Why do I tell you about this? I tell you about this because the city authorities, oh wait, I need a little aside here. The wonderful city authorities in the city of Woonsocket, who to this day are the best LGBT organizing force in the city of Woonsocket, and their actions will certainly bring us more power the more that they speak their elegant and eloquent words. There, I've said it. Let them organize us. Anger is a wonderful thing, isn't it? Someone tell Lisa that I was asking after her. The authorities in the city of Woonsocket decided it was time to shut down the Holiday Inn. And they charged them with running a disorderly house. Right? Now, a disorderly house means two things in this world in 1963 Woonsocket. It means it's either a brothel or it's a queer bar. One aside on the brothel queer bar question. You remember that woman who started the bar in the back room of the gym? On Sundays, she used to rent out a private house as a queer gathering spot. Well, why on Sundays? Two reasons. One, the house was a brothel and didn't get a lot of work on Sundays. And two, because in the city of Woonsocket, it was illegal to dance on Sundays in a place that was serving alcohol.
What is this, Footloose?
Exactly. You live in Footloose Town. So what did she do? She rented a private house. And people danced and they drank and they did whatever they wanted upstairs, no questions asked. So just back to disorderly house. So they tried to take the license, and they took the license and they argued, and it's all in the Woonsocket Call, you can look it up. The guy who managed the Holiday Inn in 1964, this is 5 years before Stonewall, right? In Woonsocket, took that case to the Rhode Island Supreme Court. Took the case to the Rhode Island Supreme Court and said, you know what? These people, they have a right My patrons have a right to do whatever the hell they want in my bar. And they have a right to argue about whatever the hell they want in the street. So the next time anybody tells you that this is the second Woonsocket Pride, you can say, yes, it is. But there have been asexuals, there have been aromantics, there have been trans folks, there have been bisexuals, there have been gay people, and there have been butch lesbians in the city of Woonsocket and the state of Rhode Island since well before any of us in this place were born, and there will be, when every single one of us is being described as a long-time activist. Happy Pride. I hope I see you next Saturday down the highway a little bit in the city of Providence to celebrate Pride in Rhode Island. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It really just does go to show our state today really does want to erase our history. So Kate does such an important job at combating that.